Tom Gregory here with Clela Rorex from Boulder, Colorado. Now, Clela Rolex's claim to fame, besides having an infectious smile and an inherent sweetness about you, is you were the very first person to issue same-sex marriage licenses in the United States, correct?
Yes.
And that date was March 26, 1975.
That's
Back
correct.
in Boulder, Colorado, you issued the very first same-sex marriage license.
I believe so, yes. A friend invited me to a Democratic Party event. At the event, they were talking about who the party wanted to put up for the office of county clerk and recorder. And they were trying to convince this young man to run because the Republican opponent would be a woman. And they kept saying things like, we have to have a man run for office. We can't have anybody but a man run for office against Betty Cronick, who was going to be the Republican candidate, and that pissed me off. At that time I had long hair, I wore mini skirts, I was an anomaly. I was the first Democrat to hold the office in years, and I don't know how I won, honestly, I just did. Of course, I remember that day. They came in.
Tell me about it.
Both of them were named Dave. So Dave and Dave came in, and we sat down and talked. They asked for a marriage license. I didn't deny them right then. We sat down and talked, and honestly, I didn't know what the answer was. Could I do this or could I not? And so I said I would have to investigate this further. I'd call them back in a few days, and I asked our district attorney to issue a legal opinion for me on whether I could legally issue same-sex marriage licenses. And he and his assistant researched it. They issued an opinion that basically said that the Colorado Marriage Code did not prohibit me from issuing same-sex marriage licenses. But on the other hand, conversely, if I wanted to refuse to do so, I would not be violating the law either. The law simply didn't speak to it, the issue.
So this is 1975?
And so at that point, the two Daves came back, and I wrote out a marriage license for them. I knew it would be an uproar, but I had absolutely no experience behind me to know how much of an uproar. The churches in the area had their entire congregations writing to me, personal letters, calling my home, lambasting me every way they could.
Now,
because I was creating a Sodom and Gomorrah.
what were you hoping to do by issuing that marriage license? What were you hoping for?
You have to understand that at that time, I didn't even know a single gay couple, none. I didn't know if marriage legal was something they hoped for or wanted. It, to me, was just purely a gut level response of this is the right thing to do.
So you issued the first marriage license, and then
Yes.
how long until you issued the second, and what happened?
Probably a couple of days. All of this happened within the course of about 1 month. I issued a total of 6 licenses.
And then why did you not issue a 7th?
By that time, even though the state legislature did not want to get involved, they'd ask for a legal opinion from the state attorney general. And he wrote the opinion that even though the marriage code didn't specifically deny the rights of two people of the same sex to get married, the intent of the law had always been that a marriage would be between a man and a woman. And I might be setting up expectations in the couples that got a license that they would have more rights than they would ever get. And at that point, my own district attorney said, well, even though the state attorney general does not have any higher legal voice than I do, In the eyes of the public, he is viewed with more authority, and so at this point, we think perhaps you should stop issuing licenses.
There's a man who showed up at your courthouse wanting to marry his horse.
I saw him coming. This guy had set it up with the media. He was an old media hack himself, and he wanted the
to marry his horse,
woman
Lightning, whose name I believe he changed for the wedding to Dolly.
Well, I actually started asking the basic questions to fill out the marriage license form, and then I do get to the age of the bride. And how old is Dolly? She's 8, and I just put my pen down and I said, I'm sorry, but she's underage, cannot get married without parental consent.
And we had probably no idea who her parents were at that point. We could have brought in her.
Dolly's parents, I hope not.
Are you surprised it's taken so long for this?
Yes, very surprised. I thought it would work its way through the courts much faster. I've been surprised that within the gay community itself that different points they haven't wanted to push this issue forward legally for one reason or another. And I have been surprised that it hasn't been decided before now.
Is it a matter of equality to you? I mean, standing up for what the Constitution stands for and equality in America?
Yes, I've always seen this as a civil rights and human rights issue.
An obvious one in your mind.
An obvious one.
What do you want said about you in the end? The book.
That when I was called upon to have courage, that I did.
Clela Rorex, thank you so much in so many ways.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Clela Rorex, the first woman, the first person to issue same-sex marriage licenses in the United States of America. What date was that, Clela?
March 26th, 1975.